Hey guys, let's move on, shall we? In this section, we're going to be clarifying the general trends and approaches towards doing business before B Corps or B Corporations came about. And to a great extent, those trends still exist. Maybe at this point we should refer to the diagram that I drew for you when I was introducing this part of the course. Here we go. So, as I mentioned before, it's very basic and it's certainly not to scale historically, but it will serve the purpose for what we want it for, which is to set the scene with two main foci in particular. First, let's take a look at for-profits down here. Now, with some exceptions, the dominant perspective on business and industry has historically been that they exist to make money or to generate wealth. It was generally seen that this is a good thing for economies of countries, and it's still seen as a good thing. Although not every country in the world taxes its organisations, the majority do. So business creates wealth via a whole range of taxes placed on the corporation. Industry is also a good thing because it creates jobs. When people are employed, they have money, they spend their hard-earned wages, and again, in most countries, this means more taxes for the government from products or services that are bought, i.e. more revenue for the government. Employment also means that social welfare systems, where they exist, are less pressured. In general terms then, industry, for-profit business is a good thing because it helps the flow of money circulate freely, and as any economist will tell you, the more it flows, the more wealth it creates for economies. So I think we can all agree that industry is a good thing, right? Okay, but what about its responsibilities? What about the responsibilities of a business? Well, let's start with the logic of what we've just been saying. If we agree that industry is a good thing for the reasons of job and wealth creation, then can we not conclude that the responsibility of an enterprise is to do whatever it takes to be competitive in the marketplace, to pursue market share, to aim for the highest levels of profitability it can manage? Well, maybe, but let's turn our attention first to shareholders. Now, supposing you own a proportion or a share of a business. You could be one of thousands of others, for example, who have bought shares in, say, Apple, for instance. You have bought shares with the hope that your shares will increase their value, and probably also in the hope that the company will pay you a cash dividend, normally payable annually. Alternatively, you could be a venture capitalist who has equity in a small but promising enterprise, for example, or you could have invested in your sister's startup in return for a proportion of ownership. It doesn't matter, the principle is the same. The most important thing to grasp is that the value of your shares, of your investment that you have made, is dependent on the profitability of the company. Now, back to company responsibilities. Can we now say then that the responsibility of a company is to seek the highest possible levels of profitability in order to maximise shareholder wealth? In other words, what we're saying is that a shareholder has essentially invested in a company on the understanding that it will engage in activities that will maximise its profitability. The company, therefore, has a moral duty to do whatever it seems viable to achieve this. The company has a responsibility to maximise shareholder wealth. One of the most influential economists of modern day is an American called Milton Friedman, and for the most part, he argued this exact position. And more so, he had quite clear views on where the responsibilities of a firm lay. So what I'd like you to do now is to read an article written by Milton Friedman in the New York Times. It will give you an idea of the dominant perspective, how, at the time, we understood organisations and more specifically their scope of responsibility. So have a read, and then when you're ready, click on the next audio. See you soon.